Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this. Quite a bit happening with respect to taking a look at where we are with devolution, considering we've come to the end of the first term of that. I'm joined by Kevin Osita from County Governance Watch. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Let's speak, before we get to our Twitter poll question, but many are wondering why we need to have two summits. So one which is organized by the Senate and the legislative, the county assemblies. And then we have the other one that is organized by the county assembly, and both of them ostensibly looking at the same thing. Yeah. Why the need for two?
Actually, this is very important because looking at our history as a country in terms of devolved governance, we've had two conferences, because one is actually the devolution conference, which is organized by the Council of Governors, which brings together all the 47 governors together with their teams. And the teams also include the MCAs, or the members of the county assemblies, and also the executive, more or less the policy implementers of the counties. And then now we have what is happening, which is called the Legislative Summit, which then discusses issues of laws, issues of legislation at the counties. And why this is very important is then that is because you look at the transition levels of, for instance, laws that have been made at the counties. And we note that different counties, the Constitution of Kenya, and of course the different supporting legislations like the County Governments Acts, mandates specific county governments to be able to generate laws. Mm-hmm. And so this summit will be looking at the legislative process, and not only that, but also the implementation processes. Okay. Now, what this means is that you also draw in issues of intergovernmental relations, mm-hmm. because in the past we've had very serious issues both with the national government and also the county government.
But Kevin, can't these happen, at one forum? Because the MCAs do attend the one with the Council of Governors. Could this not be a very important side event when you're taking a look at the legislative framework and the laws that have been passed and the implementation? I mean, Kenyans are just looking at these two big conferences coming within, less than a month of each other? That's right. In fact, it's been a challenge. But the reason why it's important that we separate these two conferences is because looking at the times that each conference is allocated, that is one. Okay. And then number two, friction between MCAs and governors. Mm-hmm. I have attended all the devolution conferences, and the attendance of MCAs have not been very impressive. In, say, the first conference in Kwale, we went to Kisumu, we were in Meru last year, and then just recently in Naivasha. And if you look at the way in which MCAs attend these conferences, it's not very impressive. That's one. Number two, as a country, we also need to give ourselves opportunities to be able to not only learn, mm-hmm. but look at how we can be able to fast-track certain processes. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. Then the legislative framework and the county assemblies have come under fire for some of the laws they're passing, the oversight role they play, within the county governments. We've seen quite a bit of drama, even in Makueni, with county assemblies holding the executive of the county at ransom. We're not going to pass the budget this year unless we get pay rises and that sort of thing. And the push and pull, even in counties like Nyeri. Yeah. What would your assessment be of the role that the county assemblies have played in terms of oversighting and creating legislation to operationalize the work of the counties? In some of the counties, very impressive work that has been done. Mm-hmm. But in many counties, it's been a joke. A joke because MCAs have used the opportunities to be able to sit in the county assembly, to be able to not only oversight governors, but actually to massage war egos, mm-hmm. or egos of war, in terms of their misunderstanding between the county government, which is the policy arm, mm-hmm. vis-a-vis the legislative arm, which is the county assembly. And why this has actually happened is because we cannot say that it's the first time that Kenya is having a devolved governance system. Mm-hmm. But it is just because of, one, the kind of people that we put in office. That's one. Number two, the process that we use to put people in office. Because if you look at even before we had the 2013 general elections, there were very clear benchmarks, mm-hmm. that Kenyans decided to put in place to be able to use to vet the kind of people who would then be voted for. And this was very clearly stipulated in
in Chapter 6 of the Constitution, Article 10, national values and principles, and leadership values and principles, again, leadership and integrity chapter. But if you look at the manner in which we were able to just jump over certain expectations of the Constitution, then we gave ourselves the kind of people that we have.
Right.
So therefore, MCAs have taken this opportunity to be able to not only fight with governors, but also to want to showcase the strength that they have, which is, of course, given to them. But I think it is not right for them to use it against service delivery, because it is the office of the governor and the county government that is then charged with the responsibility of delivery of services.
Okay, great. So sort of 50-50, a mixed bag.
Sure.
My final question to you, Kevin, this afternoon. The Budgets and Appropriations Committee has recommended a proposal to scrap the Senate. It's all about the ballooning wage bill. What are your thoughts on that? Some say it's clawing back on the gains of devolution, including that other proposal to appoint governors, that the president should appoint them. What's your reaction to this?
It is a joke because, again, another joke for the afternoon, because if you look at our constitution, very progressive at that. And further to that, the proposal needs to look at the strength of the counties, because we have not been able to provide, and it was raised at the just ended devolution conference, we've not been able to give the counties opportunities to be able to generate revenue, because Kenya is such a very rich country. And if counties can be able to be given the capacity development support that they need to be able to generate revenue, then we can actually task each county to be able to pay for its own Senate office, because the Senate is not just that one individual who is called a senator, but it is a complete system that then works with specific functions and responsibilities that have also been accorded to it by the Constitution. So if we moved further than just looking at our was as, of course, Kenyans and then offices, then look at how can we be able to provide opportunities for each office to be able to generate its own resources. Then that would mean that we would be able to empower counties to generate revenue and then support its own functions and responsibilities.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Kevin Osido from the County Governance Watch, discussing issues of devolution with respect to that legislative summit that is taking place in Mombasa, that's being organized by the County Assembly's Forum and the Senate that's being put together. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure having you here.